Hi, and welcome to the School Health Educators Podcast, where we discuss health education and how to best teach health ed in the K 12 setting.
Hi, and welcome to the School Health Educators Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lori Reichel. And today I am so excited that I have two colleagues that I've never met before. So can I call you colleagues if I've never met you? I would think
100%. Yeah.
These two people are in the Midwest, and they are the people behind the FUSED Toolbox for health education. So I welcome you both here, and the two people that are here include Dr. Julie Knutson. Did I do okay? No, Knutson. Dr. Julie Knutson and Dr. Kristen Ford. Thank you both so much for being here. Would you like to say hi to our listeners today?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
And as a reminder for the listeners, we do have this recording on YouTube. So if you wanted to watch/listen there, you're more than welcome to. So before we jump into more about the field of school health education, would you tell us who you are and what your background is?
My name is Dr. Julie Knutson. I am from MSUM. We call it Minnesota State University Moorhead. It is over by Fargo, North Dakota, if you're trying to locate that. And I have been teaching for 35 years now. I had 17 years in the field of K-12, and now I am teaching in higher ed. Yeah, and it's been a delight. So I'm going to go ahead and let Kristen introduce herself and tell us about her lovely family.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Ford. I am at Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota. I also was in K-12 for a handful of years, taught health and PE, coached, did all the things. And I've been in higher ed now since 2005. And my primary role is at Concordia. I work in the undergrad, the director for the health and physical education programs, but I also teach a variety of other education courses there. And then I'm also the director of our graduate program. We have a Master's of Ed with a concentration in health and physical education.
Thank you both. Thank you. So in the Midwest, cold winters?
Absolutely.
So why did you choose to work in the field of health education, or in some states we refer to it as school health? Why that field?
Well, I'll start with my little story, and I just told this to my students last week. I was doing the flexed arm hang in 7th grade, and my physical educator looked at me and said, "Julie, you should be a FIED teacher." And I said, "Oh, okay." So my point is, and what I tell my students is, you have a lot of power out there. You can influence people to join our field and be a part by doing something as simple as that. And it made a huge impact in my life. So,
Yet you seem to work more with school health, not physical education. Is that correct?
I do both. I teach both
Okay.
health and physical education methods, and I do some activity classes in there as well. And I used to be coordinator of all three: health, physical education, DAPE, and then now I'm just health coordinator. So
Okay.
I've been able to focus more on health the last few years.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Julie. How about you, Kristen?
Well, I was one of those students, I think, when I went to college, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I was lucky in that regard that I got to focus. But I remember sitting in one of my college methods classes and watching my professor teach health, and I was like, I want to do what that guy does. And he's one of my mentors, one of my colleagues, one of my friends, Dr. Larry Pappenfuss. And I remember we were traveling to a state conference, and I remember telling him I wanted his job. So not so
Nice.
eloquently stated. At the time I really didn't mean I wanted his job. I just wanted to do what he did. And but coincidentally, I ended up getting his job. And as he transitioned to another area of the college, and I will tell you that I love my job. I love the opportunity to get to work with students, both undergrads and grads. I love working with in-service teachers. Anything related to teaching and health is makes my heart super happy.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. For me, I figured it out when I was a senior in college and I was being pushed to go into medicine, yet I met people that had HIV and I was like, oh, wait a minute. How about prevention and
Yes.
intervention? So that's when that school health kind of opened up in my heart. And I've been loving it ever since. I am very passionate about the field, and which I'm sure how we were trained is different from how we train students now, because it's now of a skill based sort of health education. Would you agree to that?
Oh yeah, we've taken, I would say, um, since the Alperin and Bennis book came out, that really, I always knew I had a master's class with Deb Tackman, if you remember that,
Deb.
Lori. Love and
Uh-huh.
Tom Kidd from
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin, and they opened up my eyes to skill cues and using skill cues. And I always had a pull towards like that's what we needed to do. But then when Alperin and Bennis came out with their book, I'm like, yay! the And so we've been kind of tweaking it to match what seems to be working with students that are new to the whole approach. And that's where we came up with Fused. So
Yeah, we
Wonderful.
really thought and saw, we would go to conferences and speak to health educators out there, and they thought they were doing health, and they're just like, but am I doing health? And they really weren't sure what it was and how to actually do it. They just assumed they were doing the right things at the right times. And so we both have seen that when we're teaching methods students that they don't understand. I mean, it's really about what they were modeled in high
Yes.
school, and then they're bringing that to the table. And so we need to take that and expand upon it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I teach a lot of the methodology courses at SUNY Cortland, and you do have that, like, well, this is what was modeled for me in a lot, not everybody, like I think New York State with the guidance document, we had some people that jumped on board with that many, many years ago with the trainings. Yet we still have students that are like, it's still like content focused or based. And so it is interesting to see when the light bulbs go on and their hearts kind of open up to go, oh, this is so much cooler, more impactful. And that's what I mean by cooler. Like, this can really make a difference in kids' lives. And I'm like, yeah, it can. And it does. It does. So we're referring to the FUSED Toolbox, in which for another episode, we're going to have you share your screen and go over all the different parts of the FUSED Toolbox. For this episode, do you mind just giving an overview of what this is about?
sure. Julie, do you want me to take this one?
Yeah, go ahead and
Okay, so um, I would say let me first define kind of, we use the FUSED as acronyms. So the stands for Teaching Health Education. And FUSED, it's a little bit longer, but we were trying to make it catchy and help people try to remember. And so that's why we made this acronym. But FUSE stands for Functional Data Driven Information Using Health-Based Outcomes, or HBOs, from the HECAT. S stands for Skill-Based Cues. E stands for Engaging Teaching Strategies and Techniques. And D stands for Daily Application in Developing Health Literate K-12 Students. So it's not something that we expect people to go through and just rattle off. It's more about the approach and the heart and the mindset of what approach this is, and how to sort of dive into skill-based health ed.
And I will say that the whole inception came out when Kristen reached out to me and said, "Hey, Julie, you want to do this institute with me?" I says, "What is it?" And she said, "Sophie CDC has a higher ed institute academy." And so we jumped on that thing and we took the training. We went down there and participated. And it was, well, this was during COVID. So I think our initial one was online, right, Kristen?
Yep.
Yeah, and so then the second one that I attended was in person. But that was an opportunity, and we had to create a project, and we're just like, well, we both had this huge passion for health, and we figured, well, what we need is a one-stop shopping place. And that's where the website was developed. And so we had this little mini grant from Sophie and CDC at that time, and we were able to use that money then to create this. And this is what we got right now. So we're going to share that with you, and we're kind of excited about that.
Wonderful, wonderful. I know I looked at it already and I was like, oh, this is so exciting. Because I know last summer I had a grad student work with me on the School Health Educators website to create, like, where can people go for certain things for skill-based health, the functional health knowledge standard #1 area, updated sites, and then the WISC model and stuff like that. So this is wonderful that there's another resource out there that's different, similar but different, and this is when we collaborate with one another, and I love that. I love that. Do you want to share some of the information about these articles that you've also have written? One is already published or is about to be, and then the others will be over the next year, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, yep, you understand that correctly. So we've been writing for quite some time. So those of you that write articles, you know, like, you feel us. So we have the irony of the whole thing was the article that's still in draft form was the one that we were just going to write one. And then yeah, now we're working on more than one. But as Julie and I started talking, we started to see, you know, when we work with our students, we start to identify where some of those gaps are and where some of those opportunities are, and, you know, kind of putting our brains together about how we teach and what's worked really well with our students. And so that's basically what the article, like the whole thing is intended to do, is be practical, usable, or someone who does have questions on, you know, how do I teach skill-based? Because we see this question a lot on social media. And honestly, I love it when I see that question. I love it because that tells me that people are trying, they're wanting to do a good job. And so if people have questions, throw them out there, because, you know, maybe there's just one little small pivot you can take that can help implement that. And the main thing I would say is making sure that they're using skill cues. So Julie has a fun rule that she'll talk about probably at some point that we've implemented in relation to making sure that there are cues. But the first kind of parts of the series are just kind of an intro to the series, an intro to what FUSED is, and kind of trying to dissect the approach or technique that we're introducing, how to use it, and so on. The next one is about spas. So we included CDC in that, even though it isn't technically a spa, but we have the CDC, Sophie, and Shape America. CDC, like I said, isn't technically a spa, but DASH and Healthy Schools are more specialized. And so we wanted to include those so that, because the CDC website is so amazing, but it also can be overwhelming because there's just so much stuff. So focusing on those two aspects of the CDC website can help, I think, focus people's attentions. The third part is on the characteristics of effective school health education. So that's in 3 different parts. We have 3 parts of 5 characteristics each. We have something on the standard statutes and data and how to use those. We have information on making learning visible, which is basically formative assessment. And visible, of course, we love acronyms, so we made visible into an acronym. And so that has 3 parts. And then the last one is basically the tools, websites, the must-haves, and we're also including an article on health education and AI. So some of those have been accepted and they're in the process. Some of them, like I said, we're still in draft form or submitted, and we're waiting to hear back. But we just have a little bit of work left to do, and then it's open-ended. So if we have more things that come down the pipeline, or people are like, you know, Kristen and Julie, it would really be helpful if there was something about X, Y, or Z topic, then we can talk and see if that's something that we're able to help and support health educators around the world.
Yeah, I mean, so it's pretty simple, and it all started with a simple conversation of one article.
Yeah.
And, you know, that grant from Sophie, and what are we going to do with it? And then all of a sudden it just blossomed because we got, well, these are getting really long. And so we had to break it apart a little bit. And
You could have written a book.
I know.
With all of this, yet articles, I mean, they're simpler. I mean, I think sometimes people need shorter things to read at times, although articles can get very, a lot of words are in there. You know, when I ask students to look at a journal article, it's like, yeah, you need to use some higher level thinking skills there to best recognize what the information is about. Your first article is definitely out.
Yes.
Right, that was released in October, and this month, where we're folks who are listening in, we're recording in October, and this is in the Journal of Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, and the title is called Series Introduction. Is that right, or no?
That one is just the series introduction. So there's actually 3 little parts, and then there's the foundations, part 1 and part 2.
Okay, so that's in the same journal?
Yes.
Excellent. So that's out already. Excellent. Okay. And what I was doing was finding your link online, because I want to add that in today's episode description so people have easy access to find it. So I have that here. And
those are posted also under our webpage.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yep, I have that here too. For right now, for this episode, because the next one, again, folks, is going to be on the website, and both of these wonderful people are going to take over the screen and share whatever they want on their website. But before we go today, is there anything else you want to share with us?
Well, I guess I want to add that we are here to help. And if there's something that we can do and help, if it's just as simple to affirmations, or if it's something that you want some inspiration for, we'd love to try and help out. I know at MSUM, I have a class that my students participate in, and I usually try and find a school who wants some help. And we can do that online now. And so it doesn't have to be a local school anymore like it used to be. And, you know, whatever, we never know what the project's going to look like, because we never know what one school might need. And we've done quite a variety of things that schools just, hey, I need help with this. And so then my students would be the worker bees for them, and then try and, you know, get them information and get them the materials that they needed. So that's one thing that, I mean, I know I have available at MSUM. Kristen has another, so she's going to share a little bit.
Well, I have a couple things. One, if people want to get a hold of Julie and myself, we have a shared email address, which is fusedhealthed@gmail.com. So fusedhealthed@gmail.com. And then the other piece is we have, like I said earlier, we have a graduate master's degree in education with a concentration in health and physical education. And one of the, I think, advantages is we have, yes, you can do just master's straight up with this concentration, People can also get licensed through Minnesota and then transfer that to their respective states. So we have licensure seeking options. But then the third part is for people who just want a little extra assistance with skill-based health ed. I actually have 2 courses that are available. And our program is 100% online. And there's a couple classes that are available. One is a foundations in skill-based health ed, and the other one is advanced practices in skill-based health ed.
Wonderful.
And I'll send you that website, Lori, and we can, if you want to post that, then people can have access to that as well.
Excellent. And I have your email address right here. Thank you so much for being here today. Would you like to say have a great day to our audience or anything else before we sign off for this episode?
Stay healthy.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening in. And please remember to check out both the FUSED Toolbox website. Again, the next episode, or in 2 episodes, you'll see more information upon what that looks like, what tools are available there. Also, go to the School Health Educators website. That's schoolhealtheducators.org. Continue learning about skill-based health education. If you're in the New York State area, we do have an intensive training for the first day of the New York State Conference on November, I'm just going to look at the date, November 20th, that 2 of us in New York are running. And like usual, folks, I want to remind you that you are so important. Thank you so much for what you do, and continue helping our kids out there in the world. Thanks for listening in. Have a great day.